Touchdown, Fareway.
Chris Williams, Chris Hassel. Two guys named Chris. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Second primetime show in a week. Welcome to Two Guys Named Chris. Here on Iowa Everywhere, my name is Chris Williams. I am joined as always by a jet-lagged Chris Hassel. So what time did your flight leave Las Vegas locally, and then what time did you land locally? This is fascinating to me.
Okay, so watched the game in Vegas, went to the airport right after the game. Flight left at about midnight West Coast time. Okay? Fly through Atlanta, land in Atlanta at 8 Eastern, and then go take the connection back home. I'm back at my house at 10 a.m. without having gone to sleep for a single minute on the plane. I cannot sleep on planes, even when I'm super tired. So I was up until I drove home. I got home at 10:30 this morning, slept for about 4 hours this afternoon. And I'm also sick. Picked up some kind of sickness out there, out in the rain, the cold, the wind. But I do have this sweet new Iowa golf hat, thanks to my cousin Mara and her parents, Ben and Jenny. Saw her on the,
cool.
It is, swinging herky.
Very nice.
Pretty sweet. Sent me a little towel as well. It's upside down.
Now, is Mara, is she the one that puked up all that steak in the back of your dad's car?
No. That is my dad's wife's daughter. Mara's my cousin, but they do live within like a mile of one another. Mara is a freshman golfer for Iowa.
Yeah, you can't ever give me shit for sickness running through my house. You're sick all the time.
It's been brutal since the start of football season. I got sick 3 or 4 times during football season, and now this. And it seems to happen every time I travel out west. I don't know what it is. I'm allergic to those West Coasters.
We'll get into all this Super Bowl stuff. I want to thank our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery. Van Winks brought over a rack of ribs from Fareway to watch the big game yesterday.
Did. And I
good.
smoked some filet mignon tonight.
Van Wink, you sound sick too.
Oh,
yeah, I had a hell of a
I got to
week.
tell you all about this jackass during the game. I will
Shut
tell
your
you about
trap.
that after I thank our friends from Channel Seed. We're in the Channel Seed studios, of course. So first time I've ever really experienced this, where oftentimes people come over to my house for the Super Bowl because I've got this giant projection TV in the man cave, right? Like, and a lot of people like to come and watch the game there, and it's fine. I like entertaining. It's cool. See, look, I got my Brock Purdy jersey on right there if you're watching on the stream. With
Yeah, lifelong 49ers fan, Chris Williams right there.
I will probably never wear that shirt again, but
Is that a jersey?
no, it's a jersey.
That's a
don't know why I call it
legit
shirt.
Super Bowl jersey.
So I got the one with the
What
patch.
do you mean? I've never seen them wear that jersey. It's
They-
black with 49ers
That's what they
on
were
the top.
selling. Like,
Yeah, it was weird. The Fanatics didn't have their, they wore white, but Fanatics was not selling the white on their website. They were selling some weird, they had the red one, and then they had this black one with gold trim and red letters. It was very weird, but kind of cool, actually.
When I covered this matchup 4 years ago, we did a social media deal where I was wearing a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey that the company just bought me, and it was Jimmy Garoppolo. It had that Super Bowl patch on it, but it was only going to run if the 49ers won, and they lost, so it never ran. And I just gave Amanda Guerra wanted to be a 49ers Jimmy Garoppolo fan, so I gifted her the jersey, and she re-gifted the jersey a year later.
Re-gifter, huh?
Yeah.
That's like cardinal sin. You don't re-gift. Anyways, so this was a really unique experience. I'm guessing people all over the state of Iowa had this issue yesterday where I had Chiefs fans, and then I had like these Purdy fans, and then you have Van Winkle, this like rabid 49ers, like a real 49ers fan. He's not a 49ers fan because of Purdy, like it's his actual team. Well, like Van Winkle was a total dick throughout the entire game. Like, so it's a cordial, very chill group. Not a bunch of rabid fans. It's just people hanging out. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs fans who were in attendance, and granted they're a little more seasoned with their winning ways.
Good point.
Like something happens. All right. Yeah, good play. Hey, give me another beer. All right. Mm-hmm. 49ers run for 6 yards. Yeah! McCaffrey, best running back in football. Bang, bang, Niner gang, baby!
Yeah, I was blasting this.
49ers score a touchdown. Yeah! Suck it, Chief fans. You all suck. We're the best team in football. He's playing songs. Like, he stands up, like, every first down. He's just losing his mind. He made his baby cry, like, 4 times. He was a total disrespectful dick to the Chiefs.
Had you ever watched a 49ers game with Van Wink?
Yeah, at U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's at the stadium. That's different.
No.
I mean, on TV, like a big 49ers game.
No.
So you didn't know that he was one of those fans?
I very rarely watch games with other people.
So that's how my dad is. My dad is crazy. Like my
Chris
dad.
is talking about.
I remember watching games with like my dad, my grandpa, and my uncle, and they would get so pissed at how crazy my dad would get during the game. He would scare the hell out of my grandpa. And that's kind of how I was originally as a fan, like watching Bears games back in the day. I don't get like that anymore, but I remember.
I have to be standing up and like I'm coaching.
It's kind of how he is a lot of the time.
You saw me, Williams.
I remember when I was a kid, he flipped. Iowa lost a game, and he flipped over the couch.
It was really
Don was after me in the comments today.
Good thing was that the Chiefs fans who were there were, again, they're more seasoned. You could tell they've been there. One of those deals, and they were kind of rolling their eyes a little bit, and like nobody really got upset with him. And then the second half happens, and Van Winkle's over there just like a ghost. He's not saying a goddamn thing to anybody. He's just like, I knew this would happen. Knew it all week. I told you guys all week. I thought we were going to lose.
I did.
I had a bad feeling about this one.
You remember I said that? I didn't feel good about it.
That sounds like a much better viewing experience than I had.
Okay, tell us what happened.
It was awful. So I did not go to the game. A bunch of us stayed. We were done. I didn't do post game, so I was clear. I was just going to watch the game with some people that I worked with at kind of across from where our set is, across from the Bellagio, at this restaurant. And they wheeled out a bunch of TVs, and we're outside. They've got heaters out there, and we're watching the game. And there's a bunch of other people sitting at all these tables watching the games as well. But they're streaming it. Like this wasn't. They didn't have cable. They were streaming the game. So if you looked on your phone, you sign into the Gamecast. We're 2 plays behind.
That sucks.
And these bastards at a table next to us.
Oh no.
Were those people. They followed the Gamecast, and they would ruin every single big play.
I hate this bastard.
They'd be like, don't worry. It'd be like 3rd down and 12. Don't worry, you got it, man. They were wearing McCaffrey jerseys. We got it, man. We got it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. 2 plays later, they get a 4th and 5 conversion. And this is going on for the whole game, right? And find like no one else at that table is like doing anything. We can't believe it. And I'm sitting there with one of our producers who's like the nicest guy in the world. Never has a bad thing to say about anybody. Never gets into any kind of altercation. Never so much as criticizes somebody. He's like, looks up at him. He's like, hey, come on, man. We're trying to watch the game here. Don't you understand that? And we start yelling at him. Like, what are you doing? They're so blitzed, so drunk. They can't even comprehend it. But the thing is, they were wearing these 49ers jerseys. They weren't watching the game. They had it up on their Gamecast. They really did not care. I think they were fake fans, and they thought it would be really cool if they gave away how every play was going to end up. So at the end of the game, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave. Right.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you went old school Hassel and like kick their ass or something.
No. God, no. That was not going to happen. I had to leave. I just went back into my hotel room and watched on TV. I couldn't take it.
That sounds like a much better experience anyways.
They were going to, these two guys were going to ruin it for everybody. And I knew it was coming. So screw it. So I went back to the hotel room and watched it there.
Jeez. Did you guys see Tommy Pham was at the Super Bowl and he was sitting like behind the end zone and he left at halftime to go watch at home?
Wait, say that again?
Tommy Pham, MLB baseball player.
Yeah.
Was at the Super Bowl. He had great seats. He left at halftime and went to watch the rest of the game at home.
Really? Well, I tell you, I did that last year. We were in the auxiliary seating. This is when it was in Arizona. And the view was so bad, the seating arrangement was so bad, like the chairs were, you were on top of everybody. You had no room. There was no, I'm not talking just like arm room, ass room. There's no leg room. And so we left at halftime. We watched the first part of the halftime show, left, and went back and watched the game from one of our sets. It was that bad.
There really is there's something to that, though, about how much more you can pick up. I heard Dan Patrick was talking about this on his show today because one of his callers asked, when did you guys get home? Because they had to go back to the East Coast, and they left on Saturday. And Patrick was explaining how much more you get out of the game from your couch compared to being there. I would think, too, it's like, I've never covered a Super Bowl, but there's got to be so much media that they just only like 5% of the media gets a decent seat where they can sit down and work. I would think. Like they're just the regular, right? Like, that would be my guess. I've covered enough Sweet 16s and stuff like that where it's like if you're not a regular that covers the team every game, like they put your ass in the skybox and you can't see shit from there. Like that happened to me one time at the United Center, and I literally sat in the back and covered the game from my TV screen or from my computer screen. It was
I've
just
been
better.
standing room only at the United Center for a Bulls-Knicks game back in like 97. Jordan and Rodman and Pippen. And you really it's just it was awesome to be there. It was great, but you can't see much. You're so far away, you're so high up.
That's what they did to us at the Big 12 tournament last year too. We were up like whatever, people don't care. Point being, I could see why it wouldn't even be worth staying there media unless you need to be in the locker room and stuff after the game. I would just go home. I would just watch it from TV.
What'd you guys think of the halftime show?
It was fine. I thought it was a smidge douchey when he came out in the skates and stuff a little bit.
Yeah, weird.
But then I was like, I asked Matt and my buddy Hutch. It was like, if I call it douchey, will I get like canceled or something? Like,
it got better when he brought everyone else out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what was the song that he led off with? We were all trying to figure that out. We could not figure out what song that was that he led off with because we were all trying to guess. What's it going to be? It's got to be something big, right? I did not recognize that song.
Really liked it when he took his shirt off, though.
I'm sure you did. That guy was sweating like Patrick Ewing at the free throw line, as Andy Fales likes to say. Jeez.
Man. Yeah, like, I don't know. I really like Usher. That wasn't one of my favorite halftime shows. I'll put it that way. It was good. It was fine. I knew all the songs.
Usher.
Yeah, it was okay.
I was surprised how many songs I did know. Because I can only think of a few off the top of my head. There's like 10 that I know. But has he had a hit song in 15 years? That's what I didn't really understand about it.
Well, he's got a new album coming out.
My wife said she liked it.
You know why, though? It's because we're the old people now.
My wife's older than me.
They're catering to us. You remember when we were kids, it would be like, oh, it's Van Halen. You know, like, oh, Leonard Skinner. Now we are the old people.
I don't know. I felt like I loved my favorite one that I saw, and I saw it in person, was Eminem, 50 Cent,
dope.
Dr. Dre. That was good.
But I thought that Alicia Keys is a beautiful woman.
Did you see? I mean, he was all over her.
Yeah. He was all up in her thing.
Jeez, just
Usher's
sweating
single,
all over her.
But Alicia's married to Swizz Beatz, so get off.
And I wouldn't mess with Swizz Beatz. Man, you watch you read about some of those old Rough Rider documentaries and stuff. Woo!
Rough
Don't mess
Rider.
with that guy.
Who was the guy who looked like somebody on Twitter goes, "Is that CeeLo Green on Ozempic?"
Oh my
God.
That wasn't CeeLo Green?
No, and everybody that I was with thought it was CeeLo Green too.
I thought it was
But it's
CeeLo
not.
the whole time.
It's not. No.
I'll be damned.
Just bizarre. Weird. But
Other thing, too, this speak to our generation, when Lil Jon goes out there and starts going, yeah! I said to the other Matty Urban, shout out to him, Chiefs fan, who was utterly offended by Van Winkle's behavior during the game. That guy.
Wait a second.
He does look just like CeeLo Green.
Wait, there's people in the comments are saying that's Jermaine Dupri.
That was Jermaine
That's
Dupri.
what Jermaine Dupri looks like now.
He was like an iconic rapper in the 90s.
What?
I'll be damned.
That can't be Jermaine Dupri.
So back to Lil Jon. There's an entire generation that only knows him because of the Dave Chappelle skit.
Oh yeah, right.
That's the only thing we know about him.
So good. I mean, that was 20 years. I mean, it was like freshman year of college for me. Jermaine Dupri. That's blowing my mind.
Yeah, that was him.
I'll be damned.
Wait, pull up a picture of Jermaine Dupri from 20 years ago. Weird. What an odd outfit.
This is why you got to watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter.
Okay.
Or Instagram. Oh, yeah. So he's actually put on a little weight.
Yes.
All right. Anyways. Let's talk a little bit about the game. Just really wild. The 49ers players saying they didn't know the overtime rules after the game.
Doesn't matter to me.
Where's that?
Why does that matter?
It should matter to you.
What do you mean?
Why does it matter if the players know the overtime rules? If the coach
one
knows the
team
rules.
was vastly more prepared than the other for the biggest game of their lives.
Okay, so you get the ball.
Don't be
you
a
go
homer
score a
for
touchdown.
once in your life, Matt. You can criticize your team. It's fine.
Well, I don't think that was that big of a deal. I think some of the decision making.
You don't think it was a big deal for them to take the ball the way that they did?
Well, they had just come off defense. They needed to give those guys a rest. That was my thinking at the time.
Well,
I did kind of normally. Go ahead.
There's some really good reporting on it about how the Chiefs players were like specifically prepared for overtime and ready for that, and then the other.
I think you have to be. Every player needs to be prepared and ready and know exactly what's going on. I'm sure there were a lot of players who thought that if the 49ers scored a touchdown on that opening drive, the game was over. I bet you more than half the people watching that game thought the game would be over if the Niners scored a touchdown on the opening drive.
In our little group, we're like, well, what happens if the clock runs out? Like, oh, we're like,
I guess
coin toss it again. Like we didn't know how that, because it never happens. Like,
and all this happened because of the Chiefs Bills, right? The one that the Chiefs went and scored a touchdown first, and the game was over. And we're like, well, the Bills didn't even get a chance, and that wasn't that long ago. What, 3 years ago? So, no, I get what you're saying. the player, it did surprise me that guys like Kyle Juszczyk and like Eric Armstead, two of the smartest guys on the 49ers, like Harvard players, did not know the rules.
Well, that's where I'm going with my triple B with
all right.
Kelderman, bigger, better, bolder.
Hit it.
Bigger, better, bolder. Powered by Kelderman Manufacturing.
I'm going with Andy Reid because Chiefs players talked about it. They were reminded of these overtime rules each and every day. They were more prepared. They had a better feel for what they wanted to do. But not just that. Okay, that's not why I'm giving it to Andy Reid. I'm giving it to him because, I mean, for fans who are old enough, not just these younger Chiefs fans that only know him as the Kansas City head coach, this was the guy who couldn't win the big one, couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get it done when he was with the Eagles. I mean, how many times did they go to the NFC Championship game? 5 times, I think. He took the Eagles to the NFC Championship game, only got to the Super Bowl once and lost it. They were thinking, the guy, really good coach, but not a great coach. Now, he's probably in this modern generation from post Don Shula on, the last 30 years. He's probably second to only Bill Belichick at this point. And if he wants to keep coaching, he's got Patrick Mahomes at the age of 28. I think there's a chance that he could chase down Bill Belichick for the best coach of all time.
Oh, I think that's a really good possibility, yeah. Especially now with the way the league's built. It's so offensive heavy, and they'll get better on offense. They weren't great this year, the Chiefs.
That's the thing. They were bad for a stretch.
They will improve next year offensively.
Bill Cowher did an interview with Andy Reid before the game and said that doesn't have that want to retire anytime soon. So
I hope that's the case. I want him to keep coaching. Another thing that I like about him is that there's nothing to hate about him. Like, he's just so likable. Talks about cheeseburgers. I mean, even the whole thing with Travis Kelce, when Kelce almost bowled him over, like, he said all the right things after the game. He's really likable. Like, the Chiefs, I mean, they've got some, like, Kelce can be hateable. Like, I can understand if you don't like Travis Kelce because he is very boisterous. They have won 3 titles in the last 5 years. But Andy Reid's just a good guy who you just don't hear anything bad about.
Mahomes is that way for me. I told John Miller on our show earlier last week that probably my 2 favorite players in football are Mahomes and Purdy. And they were going head. I love Mahomes. It goes back to his freshman year at Texas Tech. It's like the guy's always been classy. He's got that swagger to him, and it's like now you watch him, specifically in these playoffs, and he's starting to pick up the tendencies of like Brady and Manning, where it's just, the pre-snap stuff. He's gotten so good, but the difference is he's so much better than them physically.
Yeah,
and it's terrifying how good he could be when he's 32.
Right.
He's already
he's right on pace with Tom Brady. Tom Brady at the age of 28 won his 3rd Super Bowl. But Patrick Mahomes has more MVPs than Brady had at the time. And as you said, he has more tools. And the one tool that Brady had that was better than anybody else's, and Manning was kind of the same way, was the mind. And not that Mahomes doesn't have it, but the longer he plays, the more he's in it, the better he will get at that.
And I think we saw it in the playoffs this year. It's like they were meticulous. They were, especially in like that Ravens game. It's like, I know they didn't score in the second half, but they weren't. I don't even know if they were trying to. They were trying to run the thing out, and like he's just gotten to be this really, really smart football player on top of the massive arm and a guy who can run. Jesus, are you okay? You snot all over the place. My God,
I'm sick. My lips are all chapped. I mean, I'm out there in the cold and the wind and the rain all week. I'm staying at this hotel casino that you can still smoke inside. Everybody's smoking. You walk in there and you just get blasted by it. My eyes were burning. You go downstairs for a coffee first thing in the morning, and you see people that are drunk, smoking cigarettes. It's just different. It wears on you.
Hey, I saw one of your reporters got slimed with the Nickelodeon slime.
Oh,
How come
do you have
how
that
come
video?
you didn't get slimed? I'll pull it up.
Pull up that video, the full-length video that shows him falling down. So that's Will Brinson, who's wild. So he's the host of the Pick Six podcast, our NFL podcast at CBS Sports, and so he part of our Nickelodeon. Do I have my ear thing in all wrong today?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The Nickelodeon thing was awesome, by the way. We had it on our second TV. It was cool.
So he gets slimed because he was giving picks all season. He would pick 5-6 games a week all season long for us, and he finished under 500. So this was his. Is there audio? Watch what happens here.
Is your 11-year-old kid gonna think you're cool? No!
Oh!
No! Down goes Brinson!
He couldn't. It's so slippery. He couldn't stay up. He almost hit his head on the side of the desk.
He could have died.
Oh, geez, you don't have to be that morbid.
What are you wearing?
If you hit
there?
your head wrongly on the side of that desk, he could die.
Yes, I know. I'm aware. I'm wearing the Nickelodeon Slime Time necklace.
Oh man. Hey, how about SpongeBob and Patrick calling out the game yesterday for looking like an Iowa offense?
Man,
I mean, they weren't wrong. That first three quarters really was not a good game.
The Hawks are catching all sorts of strays the last week. I had to look to make sure it was real, and it was. The GOP, Judicial Committee.
Yeah.
Because it's got one of those government tags next to it on Twitter. Making fun of Petrus and the Iowa offense.
Van Winks called it a stray. But is it really a stray? I mean, I feel like they deserve it. They ask for it. They welcome it.
So, hey, SpongeBob and Patrick, have you guys ever heard of a place called
You're going to get us
Iowa?
kicked off.
Iowa? It sounds exotic.
Well, in Iowa, they like to say punting is winning.
Wow.
And right now, punting is very much winning for.
It's a rough start.
Well, Tim Lester, man, to the rescue. Thank God you got Tim Lester coming in.
Oh, you're already making fun of him?
No, I'm saying you got the RPO. It's coming.
All right, we got to get into what happened with Iowa women, don't we?
Well, let's get into the kitchen refresh real quick. I want to thank my friends because I didn't do this last week because we had such a quick show.
Jeez.
Matty Van Wink saw my kitchen refresh yesterday. Matt, did you love it?
It's really nice. I didn't even recognize your kitchen.
It's like a whole new kitchen.
My kitchen looks the exact same.
Fraction of the price is if you need new cabinets. You don't want to do that. I can promise you. God, we're just getting blown up in the comments section. Twazzle says we're the CNN of sports. What does that even mean? Back to our friends at Kitchen Refresh.
Remember when CNN used to have sports?
Yes,
CNN headline sports.
The tax refunds are coming up, and I always encourage people to use them on your kitchen. Use it for Kitchen Refresh with our
It's
friends.
so
from
ironic
Northbrook.
that you talk about these tax refunds on this show.
KitchenRefreshIowa.com. Yeah.
When you know damn well we're going to be paying a lot of money in taxes and not getting any.
Yep.
I might have to take out another mortgage on my house with the taxes we'll have to pay.
Why don't you just plan better?
What, and have a kid like you guys? I know you guys just
no,
had
plan
kids
for
so
your
you could
taxes.
save on your taxes.
You keep a account just for your tax savings.
Oh, we try, brother. We try.
It's hard. I understand completely. I didn't get to do. I'm sorry, we didn't get to do our bigger, better boulders from
Jesus,
Kelderman
what a mess. We knew this was going to be a tough show. We're all struggling tonight.
Yeah, we are. It's been rough days for all of us. Matty Van Winks, I'll let you go. A buddy of ours we wanted to give a shout out to.
Yeah, absolutely. Good buddy named Brad G. He's the vice president of communications for the Chiefs. It was bittersweet for me to watch him win his third Super Bowl. Man, good dude. He lost his dad this year, and I know he was thinking about him during the game, and got to hold that Lombardi Trophy for the third time. Awesome. So shout out to Brad, and he's an Iowa State alum as well.
WWE belt too. What's that?
Yeah, did they give out a title belt too?
Are they? What is the NFL like the Big 12 now? Giving out
was
WWE belts?
Brad's a good dude.
Yeah,
He
I got to
is.
meet him at the Iowa State-Texas football game this
That's
year.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember that. I'm going to
Good
give
stuff.
mine. I'm going to pull a Van Winkle here, and I'm going to give it to Brock Purdy, and here's why.
Wait, you're giving it to Brock Purdy?
I am. I thought he handled himself really well this week. He got asked a lot of hard questions, right? Everybody's doubting him. He conducted himself like a true pro. He looked like he belonged. He wasn't great last night, but I also don't think that really anybody can walk away being like, he's the reason they lost the game.
Yeah.
When you missed that PAT, you had the punt fumble. I know that Brock will be criticized, and that's what happens when you get to that level. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Nobody thought he was Patrick Mahomes. But I think he represented himself and everything pretty well this week. And to really, if you consider him be Mr. Irrelevant, and he may have been a blown-out elbow away from being in the Super Bowl 2 times in his first 2 years.
Good point.
I'm going to give it to Brock for that reason.
All right. So where does that – geez. Okay. So that leaves us now going to the kitchen refresh. This is just like one sponsor hop to another.
We already thanked our friends at Kit. We're not doing the actual refresh.
Okay.
I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Do you have any other sponsors you want to do anything with?
No, I think we're good. I think we're set. Here's what I got for hoops right now. Iowa State enters the top 10. You've got Iowa's big comeback against Minnesota and the Iowa women's collapse on the road at Nebraska. I'll let you go where you want to go.
Okay. Let's start with the Iowa men first because it's not going to be a long conversation, I don't think. But Keith Murphy really screwed me over. Okay.
Okay.
I had Iowa minus 7.5 in that game. I was working, didn't get to watch a lot of it. Most of the game I saw is when they were getting their ass kicked. And then they make this great comeback, reminiscent of what we saw last year in that crazy game where Fran stared down the official. And I turn the game off when I know they're going to win, but I don't know how much they're going to win by. Keith Murphy tweets, "It's a final from Iowa City. Hawkeyes come from 17 down in the second half to win 91-82. And so I'm like, what? They covered? That's great. And then Keith posts a retraction. Oh, sorry, the box score was wrong. It was actually 90-85. That's the second time in a few weeks that Keith has really screwed with my mind.
Keith's, he's always wanting to be first.
Well, and we go back to the streaming thing. So I'm watching a couple weeks ago, Kansas, Iowa State, and the line was 4.5.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a bad beat.
Kansas misses a shot. Iowa State gets the rebound. It's a 7-point lead. They're going to the line for a 1-and-1 with like 4 seconds left. And I tweet to our little group thread, "Oh, and they covered too. Great." And Keith goes, "No, they didn't." And I'm watching the game. I'm still, whoever was shooting free throws was still at the line. I see him miss, and then I know exactly what's coming because he ruined it for me. That's 2 times. He owes me money. And he forced me to record a sound-off intro.
I saw that, yeah. Is he paying you for all these sound-off bits you're still giving?
No, I'm not. I'm paying him basically because he's taking money out of my pocket.
Time is money.
Hey, it's Chris Hassel with the Super Bowl in Vegas. Why does it seem like I'm pissed? Because I cut my teeth for years in Des Moines covering state wrestling and disc golf to get to a spot like this. I get the call to cover the big game, and then I get a text. "Hey, it's Keith Murphy. Can you take time out of your busy day to record a sound-off open for me?" Absolute bull. Get out.
I recorded that in front of like my coworkers, and they're like, what was that? Are you okay? Are you mad at someone? But great comeback by Iowa. They needed that. I mean, you
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
That was
God,
going to
if
be.
they would have lost that by 20.
Oh, jeez. That would have been back-to-back losses where you were favored. They were a slight favorite over Penn State, but that was kind of ugly at the end. And then Minnesota came in and was slapping them all around. So who would have thought that? The Iowa men make this 17-point comeback with 12 minutes to play and win the game, and the Iowa women just completely fall apart at Nebraska. I could not believe what I was watching.
Yeah, and I had listened to a lot of that game. I was driving back from Minneapolis. I did get to see the last 5 minutes or so. I liked your tweet about it, Chris, and we've talked about this a little more. It's just like, man, Iowa keeps going into these full arenas, and it's like they're getting everybody's best shot. But it was the way they lost the game, I think, that was the surprise. It wasn't like Nebraska was in this thing early. It was that Iowa kind of took its foot off the gas. And I guess you just hope. I mean, it really doesn't mean anything. You just hope that it's a good learning experience for them and it makes them a better team in March. We'll see.
Yeah, because what's the end game here? Caitlin's going to get the record.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
going to be a high seed in the NCAA tournament. This is get back to the Final Four, maybe win a national championship. That's probably not going to cost them a seed line or anything. It might cost them a Big Ten championship in the regular season. Ohio State's playing great. Got a win over Iowa. I think they're up to number 2 in the country now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of Iowa fans were really upset with Lisa Bluder for being open about, and I was surprised she did that. Most coaches wouldn't. Most coaches would not be so open about saying, I want Caitlin to get the record in Iowa City. Most coaches would have said, well, we're not even thinking about that. She's going to need to score as many points as we need her to in this game, and we'll deal with that when it comes. But she was open that she wanted to keep it. So that kind of, what's the word? Kind of opened her up for criticism once we saw what happened in that fourth quarter transpire. And Iowa had 20 possessions in the fourth quarter. Caitlin was 0 for 6, but she only took 3 shots in the first 15 possessions, and Nebraska made it all the way back. How much blame goes to Lisa Bluder?
I mean, she should be blamed. I also think that this is, I don't know, maybe I'm being too soft here, but I appreciate her transparency. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it, but I appreciate it. I think it's really cool, and I wish more coaches were like that. 2, of course she deserves some blame, but 3, it's like this is a weird – there's really no playbook to be coaching a player who's trying to set the all-time record, and, you know, this hostile crowd, everybody wants to beat you. Let's give Lisa Bluder a little bit of grace for the great, right? Like she doesn't screw up very often, and I'm not going to lose my sleep over this loss if I'm an Iowa fan, I guess is the way I will put it. This will not happen again in that fashion, I don't believe.
I was watching that fourth quarter with some skepticism, like, okay, what is going to happen here? Am I going to be able to tell that Caitlin Clark's going to try to dish it to other players, or they're trying to open up a 15-point lead, 20-point lead so they can take her out? Honestly, watching it possession by possession, I didn't think there was a time where, Caitlin should have taken that shot and she didn't.
I don't buy that.
And it wasn't like she was only 3 or 4 points away. She was still 8 points away.
I promise you this. If you were an Iowa fan who was upset, when do they play next? What night is it?
Thursday. Peacock.
You will forget about it. You will move on.
You want my conspiracy theory? This game's on Peacock. I think Peacock wanted her to have the record still.
You think
more,
NBC...
More subs, baby.
NBC slipped Iowa a little bit of juice to, take the eyes off the ball.
National TV on Fox.
Yeah, I thought that Brian points this out watching on YouTube, that the Bluder being upset in the media room was interesting.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear it. I read about it. I was reading all the...
I saw that video today. It's too bad that it was picked up on a mic, because you could hear it. She was very upset about, well, look, they just blew a game that they had in the bag. She's upset. Apparently, according to some of the people who cover these games on a regular basis, is it the road team goes first or the losing team goes first?
Road team always goes first.
Road team always goes first. Okay.
Well,
so they
at least
wanted
that's
to
how
get
it is
in
in the Big 12. The Big 10 might be different, but that's what I'm used to.
So Iowa was, I guess, supposed to go first, and they were having to wait for Nebraska. I think Van Wink has the audio here, and you can hear Bluter off microphone.
I have a lot of special moments with my dad. We got a flight to catch. You know, I won several state championships. Bullshit. This is not Big Ten protocol.
So that's the other thing. You hear her say they play music while you shoot free throws. So she was maybe upset with the way the PA system was working as well. Clearly, she's not in a good headspace at that moment. And then she's just trying to go in there, do the post game, and get the heck out of there. Look, kind of stuff happens. And I think this is also showing what a drain this has been. Like, you listen to stories about when players are chasing down major records, hit streaks, home run streaks, it can really wear on you. Did you see the piece? I want to give proper credit, but I don't remember who said this, if it was David Eicholt or someone else, that the insane amount of requests for Caitlin Clark that they had to turn down just over the last few days, and one outlet requested a 3-hour interview with her. 3 hours. This isn't an off-season interview. You're right in the heat of the season. Where you're chasing down, a Big Ten championship, a potential 1 seed. That has got to take a toll.
Especially, too, and I was very lucky to get 30 minutes with Coach last week, so I appreciate Iowa for accommodating that. So I kind of compared it to the Bulls back in the day, and it's not perfect, but you watch like The Last Dance and you watch the Dream Team stuff, and about how the Bulls, every city they went to, the arena was completely full. People were hounding them constantly, hanging out at the hotels. And it's a little bit like the Iowa women right now. But the difference is the Bulls are all professionals, right? Like these are still, some of the women on this team are a year out of high school. It's a hard situation. So that's where it's like, I don't know, this isn't very good opinion talk, but it's like, man, like cut them a little bit of slack for being stressed the hell out. I do, at least. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's men or women's game. Like that. I compare it a little bit to Kansas. They're on Big Monday right now. It's like they're on Big Monday every week, right? They're used to taking everybody's best shot. But you don't have, when Iowa State plays Kansas, kids are camping out to get a good seat. They're not stalking you at shoot around.
Right.
Right. Like, and that's from what I've heard, there's a lot of that going on with Iowa. Like Caitlin is such a lightning rod that people just want a piece of her, and it's got to be taking some sort of a toll.
I wonder what the day-to-day life for this team and Caitlin Clark specifically is like. I mean, I'm not talking game nights, just any day of the week has to be.
Can she
insane?
Does she just walk around and go to class?
I can't imagine that she goes to class.
It would be really hard.
And if she did, don't you think there'd be a lot of videos and pictures? And I don't see how someone that famous, that popular, could walk into just a regular class with people her same age.
One of the most famous athletes in the world.
She is.
That's what's different about this compared to like the Bulls thing. Like they didn't have to just, the Bulls didn't have to go to history class. Like it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. But that was a good point you made. The loss itself, I don't think is that big of a deal.
No, it doesn't matter.
It's not like they were chasing a perfect season or something like that. I think you just have to make sure that loss doesn't come back to beat you again or chip away at your confidence because, I mean, the same kind of thing happened against Ohio State, right? On the road, great atmosphere. It seemed like you had it, and it slipped away, which is something that could get in your head when you're in that position down the road.
All right, so I was wrong. I thought that TCU was a trap game for Iowa State. I think that I had good analysis going into it. TCU coming off of a bye. Jamie Dixon's a really good coach. Iowa State with 2 physical, emotional type games in the state of Texas the week before. It screamed letdown. And the arena was not.
You gave them bulletin board material.
Yeah, well, the arena wasn't that. I wasn't there, but I heard it was a pretty subdued Hilton for a Saturday afternoon.
Compared to what, though?
Well,
a game against Houston? A game against Kansas?
Yes. And that was my fear. This is why I said this has got a letdown type feel to it.
But it's still, I mean, and I was only watching it on TV. But I watch college games on TV.
It was still sold out.
You kind of know. You get the feel. You can tell what the atmosphere is like. It was still a great atmosphere.
Okay. Let me make my point. I was about to eat crow and say I was dead wrong. It was not a trap game. But I still think it was a really good win in the sense, Chris, that there was no doubt. You know, I know TCU made it kind of interesting midway through the second half there, but there was no doubt.
See, that's where I was impressed with the crowd. Because you say they made it kind of interesting. Like, they never got within, 8 points?
It was 8 or 7, I think,
and there was
the closest they got, yeah.
Urgency in that building. It seemed like they were only up a possession, when in fact they were up 3 possessions.
Well, they did the same against Kansas State. Like, that crowd wasn't that great, and then Kansas State comes storming back, and then the crowd woke up. Iowa State fans are really smart like that. So, yes, give them credit. To me, about the team, the fact that they came out so well with all of those circumstances and really just dominated a good team. TCU's a really good team. They dominated them. I like the fact that was one of my favorite wins of the year for them. Walk me off the ledge. They're 9 in KenPom, 9 in net, looking like a 3 seed at worst right now if the season would end. Obviously, a lot of games to play. But this is the type of team that could make a run to the Final Four. Like we've seen enough from Iowa State now, right? Like, look at the teams they've beaten. They're consistent. They've been blown out against BYU, which that's just a weird place to play in general. I give them a little bit of a pass on that one. And I'm not predicting a Final Four. There's a difference here. But
the
I'm
way
saying,
they are
like,
playing right now, yes.
Yeah, like they've got inside guys, they've got outside guys, multiple ball handlers. They're shooting better now. They got a guy like Momcilovic that gets better every time out. I love how Gilbert's playing now. He's like they're legit playing 2-point guards. And Lipsey's not even playing that well right now. And they're doing this. Like, I really love where this team is at.
And I think the really fun thing is there's a legitimate chance they could win the Big 12 regular season.
Yeah.
And that still means a lot to me as an Iowa fan, knowing that Iowa hasn't done that in over 40 years. I think it was the 79-80 season, the last time they won a Big Ten regular season championship. And this is the best conference in the country, the Big 12. And they're going toe-to-toe with Kansas and Houston. You're beating teams like Kansas and Houston. And that's going to make things really fun down the stretch here if they do have games where you're playing for a Big 12 regular season championship. When's the last time they did that? Was that 20-plus years ago with Pfizer and Tinsley?
Yeah. I mean, and I was trying to think of when they had a shot. And, like, in the Hoiberg years, it was like, yeah, there were years where, like, this time of year you're thinking maybe. But even the prom team with Naz and Monte, like, that team didn't have a shot. They were greatly underperformed in the regular season. Like, tomorrow night's a huge game. If you want to win the Big 12 at Cincinnati, this is another. It's just Texas, it's Baylor, where it really analytically is a coin flip. But, man, if you could steal that one, too, and have road wins at Texas, TCU, and Cincinnati, like, damn, you're right there.
Cincinnati took Houston right down to the wire.
That's a hard
5.
game. That'll be another boxing match, unfortunately, but that's kind of what you prepare for in a lot of these games. But I know it sounds wild, but they're ranked in the top 10 now. Like, you look across the board, all the bracketologists, I think there's a real chance they're playing in Omaha in the first weekend right now, which would be there's 30,000 Iowa State fans there if that's the case.
A lot out there. That's exciting. It's fun when you have all that for a college basketball season, when you're getting these games twice a week.
Oh,
and
it's the best.
You've got everything out there on the table, and it feels like you have a legitimate chance to make a deep run.
I know I'm biased, but I just love Big 12 basketball, and it's not as good now. Like the competition it's not the same when it's not the round robin. The round robin was so awesome because these teams and these coaches.
It sucks that they don't go to Kansas this year.
Yeah, like I loved that aspect. They all hated each other so much. And the transfer portal's taken out of it too because guys just leave. You know, they don't play each other for 4 years in a row like they were. But, you know, I'm really excited for the next 3 weeks. I think that tomorrow will set the tone. They have put themselves in a position. If they win that game tomorrow, watch out because a lot of their home games coming up are ones that they should win. And then they got to go to Houston. I think it's a week from tonight. Now, that's going to be brutal. They'll be like a 10-point underdog. But they've taken care of the worst part of their schedule, which is what's cool about this. So, we'll see. All right, are we going to have a normal show on Thursday for once?
God, I hope I'm recovered by then. I feel like I've got hay fever.
Get done with your cold.
I've sneezed like 7 times on this show. Thank God for the mute button.
You got the hoof and mouth.
Matt, are you doing okay? We really didn't check on your feelings.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I'm okay.
Did you see that the 49ers are still the pick to win it next year in Vegas? They're the odds-on favorite. Still
That's
got
great.
That going for you.
And that's only because it seems easier to get through the NFC than it does the AFC. Like, if the Chiefs were in the NFC, they would be the favorites to win it all.
The Chiefs will be better next year. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Based on their cap and all that
I think they will too.
And the Niners should bring back most of their team. Ayuk's on a contract year. He has one more year, but
my only worry with the Niners is they're just aging. Like a lot of their guys are in their low 30s now. You know, they're just aging. I feel like, Matt, you got like 2 more years of this group, and
they need to build up the offensive line. That's their biggest need in the offseason.
In Brock's defense, that guy is constantly running for his life.
Mm-hmm.
He did that at Iowa State too.
And now the offensive linemen are fighting on Twitter. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think they gave the ball to McCaffrey enough.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, I got to go blow my nose again.
Okay. Go blow your nose and wipe your ass. Appreciate our friends at Fareway. They had a great commercial on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I heard they were talking meat box.
Yeah, put a meat box commercial up there on the Super Bowl.
Why are you guys in the commercial?
I thought
Next
about
year.
that. They should really, really change that up. We appreciate all of you watching and listening on a Monday night. We'll be back at our regular time on Thursday.